How many times can I say the word Lenormand in this video? Hello beautiful wonderful human, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am here today to talk to you about Lenormand because I realized the other day when I posted a little something about my Lenormand practice that some of you had no idea that this divinatory system even existed, so I thought I might introduce it to you, even though I'm not at all a Lenormand expert, but I'm going to tell you about my personal experience with it later in the video, okay? But basically I'm going to give you some short and sweet introduction to Lenormand, if you will. So make yourself comfortable, grab yourself something delicious to drink, and let's talk Lenormand. So first things first, what is even Lenormand? So Lenormand is a cartomancy system used mostly for fortune telling, right? So the future prediction. Now, before we actually talk about Lenormand, I believe it's very important to make a distinction before we begin, because there are actually two types of Lenormand, and I don't think many people know about it. I didn't up until a certain point, obviously. So the Lenormand that we normally see on the internet or cartomancer working with is what is called petite Lenormand, so like a little Lenormand. By the way, the name Lenormand is French, and I'm fully aware that I'm probably pronouncing, well, not probably, I'm pronouncing it in a English way, not how it is supposed to be pronounced, because it's a French word, but I'm not really gonna give it a go in French because I can't speak French and I don't want to be ridiculous. Anyway, back to the topic. So the Lenormand that we usually come in contact with is petite Lenormand or little Lenormand, which consists of 36 cards. Okay, then there is also a grand Lenormand, so like a big Lenormand, and I believe that one consists of 54 cards. However, that one is a little bit more complex and it's a little bit less common for cartomancers to use that one. A little disclaimer, I'm not saying that people don't use that system at all, because maybe they do. Maybe there are fortune tellers who work with the Grand Lenormand, I'm sorry. But the most commonly seen and most commonly used is Petite Lenormand, okay? So the one that consists of 36 cards. Now with that being said, with this chaotically established difference, we can move on and talk about the actual Petite Lenormand, where it comes from, and how it is used, etc. So let's talk about its origin real quick. So the Lenormand originated in 18th century from a German game called Game of Hope. However, it is named after a famous French fortune teller called Marie-Anne Lenormand. And a little bit of an interesting or curious fact is that Petite Lenormand was actually created after this fortune teller's death, and I believe that Grand Lenormand is a little bit more true to her actual divinatory style. So with that being said, let's talk about what makes Lenormand different from, let's say, tarot or oracle systems. I'm so sorry, my cat is just moving the camera right now. So the first thing that makes Lenormand different is something that I already mentioned, and that's the number of cards. So as I mentioned, Lenormand has 36 cards, right? As opposed to tarot, for example, that is a 78 card divinatory tool, or oracle decks that actually vary in number of cards, right? By the way, for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about or who are completely new to the topic of tarot and oracle, I'm going to leave a video down below where I slightly touch on this subject. It's basically a video about when do I use tarot and when do I use oracle, but I also briefly explain the difference between these two, okay? So that's just a quick side note, if you will. So back to the topic, back to Lenormand. So Petite Lenormand is always 36 cards. So that would be the point number one. Now the point number two, and something that I find personally incredibly interesting, is that Lenormand is always read in pairs or in groups. So there is no such a thing as pulling one Lenormand card, just like you would do with tarot or with oracle, right? Because Lenormand works in this strange, well, not really strange way, but Lenormand works in this way of, like, I almost slipped into Spanish, I'm sorry. It's almost like creating a syntax, like you almost create a phrase out of your Lenormand spread, if you will, and usually the cards modify each other. So for example, if you pull two cards, usually one card modifies the other one, so they interact with each other and they need each other to be a reading, as opposed to, as I mentioned, tarot, where you can just pull one card and reflect on it. Now, Lenormand readers, please let me know down in the comment section whether you can actually do that, like pull just one Lenormand card. I mean, I suppose you can, like, okay, if we are really gonna be real here, you can do whatever the hell you want in your practice. It's your practice. I mean, no one's stopping you from pulling one Lenormand card, but it's not traditional approach, okay? Let's word it this way. And another quite interesting thing for me is that there is actually a spread that consists of all 36 cards. It is called Grand Tableau, something like that. I'm sorry about my mispronunciation, but it is basically a spread in which you use the entire deck, which is something that blew my mind, for example, because in tarot, you know, you do not lay all 78 cards in front of you in a spread, right? Like, there are some rich, heavy spreads, right, with like lots of cards, of course, but never 78 cards. So using the entire deck for a spread, now that's something that really caught my attention, and it's something interesting and I think very particular about Lenormand. Now, the point number 3 is that Lenormand is incredibly straightforward and highly predictive. Now, I have something to say here. I believe that it actually highly depends on how you approach it, just like with any other divinatory tool. I don't think there is such a thing as, you know, this tool only works for prediction. I believe that there are tools that are more likely to assist you in this type of readings. I still do believe, though, you can tweak it a little bit. I'm sorry, I just closed the window because I just realized that you could probably hear the dogs barking and the outside nature noises. I live in a very nature area, and people walk their dogs outside, and I didn't realize it, and I forgot I had the window open. I'm sorry. Back to the topic. So Lenormand tends to be highly predictive. Like, it's literally it's a fortune telling tool, right? However, I wanted to say that I have a little note here because I believe there is no such a thing as solely fortune telling tool. Let me think about what I just said real quick, or is there? I don't know. Okay, maybe there is. Forget that. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to cartomancy specifically, I believe it's all about approach. It's all about what types of questions are you actually asking, right? However, it is true that Lenormand is very straightforward, and that makes it incredibly fitting for fortune telling, so the future prediction, because, coming to the point number 4, something that distinguishes Lenormand from other cartomancy practices is also that the Lenormand, its meanings are very simple and therefore it makes it very easy to create some sort of clear predictions, as opposed to tarot, for example. I'm going to be probably comparing it a lot to tarot in this video, because you see, tarot is something more complex, in my opinion. Don't come at me. Tarot is something that gives you sometimes more questions rather than answers, right? Well, again, depending how you approach it, but tarot is kind of meant to make you think and reflect and analyze and actually spend time with it. Now, Lenormand is more just shooting a bullet at you. Not in a bad way, not at all. I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot, but I'm going to talk about it in a minute. However, yeah, it is very fitting for fortune-telling practices, right? So speaking about also its meanings, Lenormand cards usually depict everyday objects or people. It's very, as I mentioned, basically very straightforward, very simple, and it makes it also very effective, right? And I just realized that I could show you my deck. I actually wanted to do that, but I could do it just now. So my Lenormand deck is, the deck that I'm using is this santamuertelenormand, obviously. It's actually a very, very regularly available mass market deck, also pretty cheap one, just in case you are, into it or something, but I'm not. This video is not about me trying to sell you a deck, okay? I just wanted to say that. But just so we can imagine, this is basically how Lenormand cards look like. And this brings me to the point number 5, which is something that you could probably already realize, and it's that there are these playing cards images inserted in the Lenormand cards, and that's not a misprint, that's not a mistake, that's actually on purpose, and that's something that distinguishes Lenormand from other cartomancy systems. Now, I must admit, it is something that bothered me in the beginning. It basically ties back into what I said, that Lenormand is, it comes from this German game that was, you know, playing cards based. So it's traditionally kept in the cards. Now, did I say that my deck is in Spanish? I probably did. Yeah, so I'm not going to be showing you the entire deck. This is just so you can imagine. So you see the images, very simple. The titles, the card titles are also very simple. For example, this is the cross. And the meaning is also very straightforward. So for example, speaking about cross, the cross, Shelby, mi amor. I'm sorry, my cat just... My cat is having a day, y'all, today. I had to stop this video for like 4 times now because my cat is doing weird shit. Anyway, so for example, the cross. It speaks about the burden, some sort of suffering, something that you almost like carry on your back. Mi amor, puedes parar? Right? So basically, what I'm saying is that the meanings are very straightforward and very simple. So yeah, this is just so you can have like a quick idea, right? This is how the Lenormand deck looks like. These are the backs of my decks, by the way, of my deck. Yeah, very lovely. So that would be the point 4, 5. I got lost already, come on. And the last thing that I would say distinguishes Lenormand from other practices is that it works the best in practical types of questions. So it kind of ties back to what I was saying when comparing it to tarot. The tarot is very reflective, it goes deep. Now Lenormand is better to answer questions such as what's gonna happen to me today? Or something, let's say, you know, the typical predictive question. What's going to happen with this relationship? Or what do I need to know about my finances right now? Am I gonna, I don't know, get this job? Now, when it comes to yes or no questions and Lenormand, I must say I have not done these because I usually tend to avoid yes or no questions in general. With any divinatory tool, well, with cards, because I'm mostly into cartomancy. So yeah, not a fan of yes or no questions. I can't tell you how that would work with Lenormand. However, with all that being said, I don't want to make this video like super long, but I do want to briefly tell you about my experience with Lenormand. It's brief, actually. My experience with Lenormand is not at all very expansive, and I'm just checking whether we still do have some light left. Okay, we do. So, how did I even got into Lenormand? Well, to be honest, I learned about Lenormand few months ago, last year, I don't know. I knew about its existence, however, I was not really interested into it because of its predictive nature. If you know me at all, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have more of a psycho-spiritual approach to cartomancy in general, so both tarot oracle. And now Lenormand, actually, this is what I want to get into. So, what changed? I don't know. I'm just a cartomancy lover, and I just realized, you know what, we're living one lovely, short, precious life, and I want to give it a go. I want to get acquainted with Lenormand. I want to tip my toes into it, if you will. My cat will probably move camera again now. So I just wanted to give it a go. I just wanted to know a little bit about it, and I found this beautiful deck which was incredibly cheap, very reasonable price, and also it's my style. I'm also a Santa Muerte devotee, so I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna try. If I don't like it, well, it's gonna sit on my shelf, but at least I will have an experience with Lenormand, right? So I got it, and I'm currently practicing Lenormand every day. I was taking this Lenormand course, and I'm trying to basically I'm trying to basically get acquainted with it. I think that's the word that I would use right now, because I'm not really doing like heavy readings for it just yet, and I'm not reading for people just yet also because, well, I think that for you to read for people, you should first know your tool yourself, right? So this is what I am at right now. However, I must admit, I've been tipping my toes a little bit into prediction, but just like a very short-term prediction, a very what's gonna happen today in my day, you know, type of prediction. Now, I must say some of these were kind of accurate. I still don't find predictions very useful, hola mi amor. I still do not find predictions useful at all. I'm still more of, you know, much more fan of using cards to gain some sort of insight that can actually be useful for our personal development and such, right? So I don't think I'm really going to be digging into predictions, like heavy predictions. But what I want to tell you is that I did some reflective readings with Lenormand. Well, reflective as in, it was some sort of like love readings for myself, and it turned out to be incredibly accurate, really straightforward, yes. It wasn't a prediction, it was just, it was a different, you know, like more of a reflective style. I would have to give you an example, but I do not really want to give you an example of that particular reading. But it was really on point, and I realized like, oh, okay, wow, this is working, and I think I can find my way to work with it, which wouldn't be a heavy fortune telling. However, I'm not completely, you know, resisting that, because I think that's something that well, I just want to have an experience with, basically. And also the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I really am curious where this is going to go. Like in the future, if I'm really going to continue with Lenormand, and then I'm gonna be able to look back at this video and see my little silly self talking about how I'm not doing predictions, well, who knows, maybe I will just do predictions like I was born to do that, I don't know. And that would be funny. But I mean, whatever can happen, anything can happen, right? So yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna show you a few more cards while I talk. So I basically just wanted to, yeah, give you a brief introduction to Lenormand. I'm really hoping this video is not too long. Tell you a little bit about its origins and what makes Lenormand different from other styles, and give you my experience. So far I am really mind blown by it. I have not expected to click with it as much, because as I said, I had actually no expectations for it whatsoever. To be quite honest, I had no expectations at all, but I'm surprised in a very nice way, and I'm really looking forward to working with it a little bit more. And funny little thing, I'm actually expecting this Lenormand deck to arrive, because yeah, I actually have purchased one more Lenormand deck that I found. Actually, side note, I don't really like Lenormand decks that are on the market. It's just well, there's this one that I like, and there is one more that I actually saw years ago, and I had no idea what it was. And I was like, now when I got into Lenormand, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, so okay, I need this deck. So I will show you which one it is later, because I know that you love to see decks, don't you? You love looking at decks. Like, I mean, I do too, but don't worry, I'm gonna show it to you when it arrives. For now I'm working with this one, and yeah, just overall enjoying it. Ya voy, mi amor. So my cat wants to eat now, and he's really restless, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up here. And yeah, basically just tell you that I'm very excited about this practice. I'm really curious about where it is gonna take me. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is La Santamuertelenormand, in case you are interested. It's in Spanish though. Oh, but the booklet is in English. So if you are not a Spanish speaker, You can still get the deck. Basically, just the titles are in Spanish, but the booklet actually says the name in Spanish, also in English, and then the explanation in English. Okay, so with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had a lovely time and you learned something new in case you haven't known about Lenormand. Let me know down in the comment section what do you think about this system, or if you have any experience with it. How do you like it? What deck are you using? I'm always happy to read you. Also consider subscribing, it would make me really happy. And with all that being said, I hope you're staying kind and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye bye! ¿Quieres venir acá un rato? Ven, mi guapo, mi hermoso. Good, my beautiful baby. Say hi to beautiful people who come to the channel. You will not say anything, really. I love you. Okay.